welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Kathryn Austin. She is a coach, licensed psychotherapist, and certified healer. She created a wellness compass called Gravity and Grace that supports individuals in determining their current level of wellness and a path towards more peace and empowerment. Welcome to the show, Kathryn.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
You are welcome. Welcome to the show, Kathryn. Welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk right now. We'll talk about combining psychology and spirituality to create holistic wellness and empowerment. We'll talk all that with you. But before that, Kathryn, if we can understand a bit more about your journey, your background, so that the audience knows who they are listening to.
My pleasure. I'm Kathryn Austin. I currently live in Austin, Texas with my family. Born and raised in Washington, D.C., and went to school, studied biology and drama, anthropology, got into social work for graduate school, and found out during that experience I was a terrible case manager because all I wanted to do was talk with my clients. And so I learned I could move into clinical work. And I've been doing that now for over a decade, specializing in inner child wounding, spiritual development, and nervous system regulation. And I love it. And then this year, I launched the coaching arm of my business where I got to leave the comfort zone of therapy and expand into a space where I felt like I was liberated to use all of the trainings and the books and certifications and the passion that I had for wellness. I could weave it all together in the coaching space. And yeah, it's been an extraordinary journey. I'm so grateful.
Wonderful, wonderful, Catherine. So, I want to understand you talk about combining psychology and spirituality to create holistic wellness and empowerment. Why is it crucial to combine both these things for cultivating wellness?
Yeah, I think something I really recognized in my work, I specialize in working with adults who have attachment trauma. That was my therapy practice. So, attachment trauma, that just means experiences of a neglect, abuse, relational violence with caregivers, particularly in our childhood. And those experiences of being with our caregivers in childhood create templates for the way we understand ourselves and the world. And when those templates are infused with the energy of abuse or neglect, it creates kind of a rough road ahead of us for us. And I am someone who's so fortunate to be absolutely obsessed with the work that I do. And I found that even with all of the certifications I was getting, all of the books I was reading, all of the work I was doing to help my clients move through the trauma that was still replaying in their neurology, even decades later, we would get stuck. And I know I was giving it my best. So I started exploring how the body, the mind, and the spirit all work together to create wellness within yourself. And once I started doing that, I've had a yoga and meditation practice for a long time. I started then studying some of the mystery school traditions, esoteric hermetics, and Kabbalah, and just being able to begin to weave some of those teachings and some of that energy into the work. It gave the person this moment where they could take a little bit of a leap of faith, connecting to something bigger than themselves, which allowed them to put their pain within a bigger context. And that was life changing. And so I really saw that, okay, well, if I'm going to bring that into the work, I've got to be just as diligent and devoted to that practice and that embodiment um, with the work I was bringing to my clients.
Right, right, Kathryn. Now, to understand it from a common person's perspective, psychotherapy and spirituality both see each other a bit differently. How do you uh, tell the client or the person who needs that sort of a thing that, listen, if somebody is say as a psychotherapist has a issue, then you can't tell I'll bring spirituality into it, and somebody who has spiritual or in that sense a bit more deeper into it, then if you tell I'll bring psychotherapy into it, then they will have different opinions about. So I want to understand, how do these two fields see themselves from either from a distance or from close by?
Yeah, beautiful question. So I think it is important to recognize that psychotherapy comes out of the context of science, right? It's one of the kind of hard sciences, which have been around for about 300 years. Newton was the beginning of that space. So let's just put this in context that while science, including psychotherapy, medicine, physics, all of that has been around for 300 years, spirituality has been around for at least 5,000 years. So you can't fully compare the context of one to the context of another. Science came out of our deep desire to split things apart and better understand them in depth by taking things apart, which is beautiful. It's deductive reasoning, but spirituality is about wholeness. So when I'm working with a client and we're in a psychotherapy context, we're working with the mind, we're working with cognitive, emotional, physiological patterns of their life, and we get stuck. The way I bring spirituality into our work is I define spirituality as connecting to something bigger than yourself. That could be God, that could be your family, that could be nature. But that is the experience of wholeness, that you are a part of something bigger than yourself. And when you feel that, truly feel that within your body, within your mind, your capacity to create perspectives, practices, and pathways towards wellness completely change. Isolation is really, really limiting, and it's a place where kind of ego and pain thrive. So putting psychotherapy within the bigger context of spirituality is the work that I strive to do. Psychotherapy has so much rich benefit to understanding the way our neurology work, how when we get into patterns, how that's wired into our brain and requires a certain amount of effort to move out of that. Beautiful. But all of it is in service to wholeness, to feeling whole in our body, which includes being connected to something bigger than ourselves.
Right, right. Now let's look at a couple of things that are required for this whole wholeness thing, holistic wellness thing, and that is one of the things can be, cultivating inner peace.
Mm.
How do you uh, get that inner peace in the present modern times? In the quest for something more and more, people reach to a stage of therapy,
Mhm,
and then
mhm,
some people also go towards spirituality later on when they think that its whole race was actually a rat race and it did not work.
mhm.
So I want to understand then, how do you cultivate inner peace when it is still time with you? Before you need to go to a psychotherapist or need to go deep into spirituality, can you before that itself, can you get nuggets of wisdom from both these fields and achieve holistic wholeness, so that you don't need to get to the extreme of anything and get to peaceful life, inner peace, before you really need to get to any difficult points?
Yeah, I mean, I think that inner peace is a combination of a clear mind, an open heart, and a calm body. So if you could use those three points on a map of your life and ask yourself, when was the last time my mind felt a little bit clearer, a little bit quieter? Maybe it was when I was with a person I really love. Maybe it was when I was sitting by a lake that was really beautiful. Maybe it was when I was at home reading a book. The idea is you already have moments in your life. Everybody has had moments in their life where they've experienced a calmer mind, a clearer, more quiet mind. So identify where that happened for you. What was the environment that you were in, and double down on it. Do that more and pay attention to what's going on. The same thing for an open heart. When were you feeling really generous in your life? When were you feeling like you needed nothing else in that moment in order to feel completely content and satiated and generous? Again, identify that time, write down who are the people and places and things that you're doing when that happens. And then the last piece, because mind, body, and spirit, the last piece is then your body. Really thinking through when you have felt grounded, calm, safe in your body. And then the idea is you don't need a guide outside of you to tell you what to do with that. Just do more of those things you're already doing in your life. Write them down, and then every day work to connect to those places again. And you'll slowly build a practice of having that inner peace.
Right. So, in terms of holistic wellness, how should a common person understand holistic wellness? Because psychotherapy will say it's about some chemicals and all these things happening in your body. Spirituality will say you connect with God. How do I look at holistic wellness? Because it's more about, it's so, holistic wellness is more about myself, or is it more about God if we look at it from both these perspectives?
I think the beauty that there's a hermetic principle called the law of correspondence, which says, as within, so without, right? Something we've heard before, as above, so below. So the first part to really dive into in holistic wellness is this idea of unification, right? Which yoga talks about and meditation talks about, this idea of oneness, that you and I are actually more the same than different, that the tree and myself are more the same, the breeze, the heavens, the ground beneath me. Our suffering, which is controlled by mostly ego, is born of separation. So anything that separates us from love, from peace, from ourself, from our family, from God, from community, will create suffering in our life. Holistic wellness is about coming back together, integrating our past, integrating our mistakes, integrating our experiences of fear and love and dreams, allowing all of it to be here. All of it is sacred. All of it has meaning. And from that place, we take radical responsibility and say, if all of this is welcome here, all of this is meaningful, I will use it to be in a place of peace, joy, and love so I can offer that to the world, right? The Buddha saying, like, just do no harm, right? Care for the world, bring kindness to the world, and at the very least, do no harm. And these simple truths that we hear so many times, and we think like, it can't just be that. But if you try to be kind every day, you'll realize how difficult that can be. And you begin to think like, maybe it is just that. How can I be more kind, more loving, first to myself, so that I can sincerely offer that to those around me, with the understanding that I am a part of this world. So if I have cultivated inner peace, joy, and love within myself, I therefore have brought that to the world. I am the gift I bring to the world. I'm meant to share that with everybody. And a lot of us right now are sharing being pissed off and judgmental and grouchy, and we're not sharing very much beauty with the world. So we do this inner work of wholeness, of acceptance, of forgiveness, of empowerment, so we can then radiate that as our gift, as our offering to the heavens, to our family, to nature. And I truly believe that's the path to Shambhala. That's the path to a more beautiful world that we're here now on purpose to create.
Wonderful, wonderfully put, Catherine. Now, how do I know whether I have achieved holistic wellness? Because for an individual, I know you have got this compass, gravity and grace. So, for an individual without the compass, is there a way to know? And with the compass, tell us about the compass, what it can do, what it cannot do.
So gravity and grace is a compass that I believe came through me 2 years ago on the summer solstice. We had a wild thunderstorm and the clouds were looking like dragons, and it was kind of crazy and exciting. And I have two toddlers. I have a 2 and 4 year old. And so my little one was really little. And I remember going outside. I work with a lot of shamanic energy. So with nature and the breeze and the changing of the seasons and the moon. And I felt called to go outside and experience the storm, and immediately had this beautiful download about a compass for that's called gravity and grace. And the power of a compass is that it helps you get from where you are to where you want to go. And so much about the healing and growth journey is identifying where you begin. If you don't know where you're starting, it's really hard to move forward because you don't have metrics to gauge it with. You can't collect data on yourself. So, gravity and grace is a compass that allows you to identify based on universal energies where you're starting. And it pulls in, it creates a coordinate. It's in the shape of a cross with a vertical line and a horizontal line. And at the top is spirit, at the bottom is matter, to the left is chaos, to the right is order. And you could, if you're working with feminine, masculine energy, you would put feminine energy on the left, masculine on the right. And in the middle is the heart of your life. It's where integrity and your values lie. So when I'm working with any clients, I ask them to start by identifying 3 values in their life, the 3 prioritized values that live in their heart that you don't have to find motivation around, or you don't have to try to care about. You unconsciously are driven by this motivation. This could be family. This could be health. This could be abundance. It could be charity. Whatever your values are, those lie in the middle. And then you begin to look at this compass and picking an area of your life that feels out of balance, right? Let's say your finances. And through a series of questions, you can begin to point where that location is on the map. Are you too rigid, too logical, too masculine driven about your finances? You'd be closer to the order side. Are you too just woo woo, like anything will come? It doesn't matter. I don't have to work hard. You're probably a little bit ungrounded. You're higher towards the spiritual side. The idea is these energies desire harmony with each other. So when you find that you're out of balance in a certain quadrant of this map, you begin to create the practices that bring in the missing energy. So if I have too much order, I'm going to cultivate practices that engage with intuition, creativity, embodiments, spontaneity. If I've got too much spirit going on, I'm going to work on getting really grounded. I'm going to look at my finances and put them on a spreadsheet and get a little practical about it. And the beauty of this, AJ, is that once you begin to identify the missing energy and you set an intention with aligned action to pull in that missing energy, the energies desire to dance with each other. So you don't have to know exactly how much order or how much chaos is missing, how much spirit, how much matter. You identify where you are with humility, like I'm missing something here. I need to call in something else to support me. You create the aligned action towards the needed energy, and it begins to harmonize through your mind, through your body, through your spirit. The universe desires your abundance, it desires your joy and peace. So, this is about making yourself available to co create with the universe around you. And it's fun. It ends up being this thing that works through you and for you and with you. And it requires you to take action. But the magic happens in between you, your intentions, your work, and the higher energies around you.
Absolutely. The universe desires your abundance. Wonderfully said. So, if the universe desires my abundance, should I be closer to myself or should I be closer to the universe? What's the
Mm.
right path to choose?
So, in all of the traditions I've studied, the idea is that the universe is within you, that the kingdom of heaven is within you, that the Tao is you, around you, with you. We cannot separate ourselves from it. So, anytime we find ourselves asking, is it me or the universe? Know that wherever you put love and wherever you receive love, you're in connection again with that higher place you're desiring to feel. It is not separate from you. It's impossible for you to lose connection with it. It's eternal. It's not yours to possess or own or understand. It is something that moves through all of us. And our level of connection with it, embodiment with it, has to do with how egoically driven we are in our life. So the more you can connect to your heart, to your breath, to the peace in your mind, to the generosity of your spirit, the less room there is for ego, and the more you'll feel the abundance that is your birthright, that is always here. You can't lose, even when you don't feel in connection to it, which is so beautiful. It's so wonderful that we could have lived years of our life feeling angry and upset, like a victim of the world, or blaming others for our pain. And the moment we decide we want to feel peace, everything can change in a moment.
Absolutely. Everything can change in a moment. There is much to learn from you, Catherine, and I'm sure a lot of people would like to learn from you, about you, be your client. So, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Yes, thank you so much. My coaching website is gravityandgrace.co, not com.co. Com wasn't available, so we went with co. So you can find out a little bit more about my coaching work there. I also try to keep pretty relevant and present on Instagram, sharing the things that are working for me, the practices, tips. And so my handle on Instagram is Kathryn underscore W underscore Austin. Um, and I'm so excited about the opportunity to have this conversation with you and share this with anyone who is listening. The whole point of this is when you are in a place where you're cultivating peace, joy, and love, you are meant to share it. You are meant to give it to the world. And through my coaching and through these conversations, that is my deepest desire. I'm devoted to letting this move through me and to you and to anyone else who feels like this is something that would be of service to them. Take this. Nobody owns joy, beauty, truth, wisdom. This is for all of us to use. So don't hesitate to take parts of this message, to take parts of this conversation, take it into your heart. And if you need more support, please reach out. There's so many resources.
Wonderful, wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for
Thank you
joining
so
us.
much.